Okay, guys. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Very good afternoon, very good morning, all joining here. This is Dr. Hussein. Today, we will try to complete our previous topic, which is about constructors and destructors. So last time, last lecture, we already started with constructor, destructor. So I think we already covered passing argument to a constructor, classes with no default constructor, destructor, why we are using destructor to release the memory which is dynamically allocated by the keyword new, if you remember. So today I think we need to talk about overloading. So what's the key idea of overloading? Basically, I think we already covered this overloading, just we will repeat what we already implemented earlier. So basically, the key idea of overloading of the constructor is a method or function, you can call it. So a class can have more one constructor. When you have many constructors with the same name, so we call this process is overloading. So this is the meaning of overloading. Overloading, you have multiple implementation, but one condition for this overloading, the input parameters. So we have the default one without any input parameter. We have with one input parameter and with two, meaning that you cannot repeat this one. If you have two here, this is not allowed to repeat the same prototype. Okay, clear this point. You cannot repeat the same prototype. Overloading meaning that you have to give different representation for this constructor. In fact, overloading could be applied also for any function. But the main condition here, you have to give different, maybe the type here. You can here say, I have another prototype here for this constructor. I will call it here rectangle. But now with one parameter of type character, right? It's different. Maybe you can make another rectangle here of type integer. Clear? You have to give different, maybe the numbers, maybe the type. Okay, so we have here an example of different constructor format. So this is the default one without any input here. So what we have to do here in that case, we have to initialize these parameters with zeros. Plus we have one more parameter, which is the pointer. So this is the initial value, which is the null value for this pointer. So if I want to implement this in the coding here at the editor, so what we have here, we have a class, the name of this class, which is inventory. It's inventory item. So I have here an inventory item. This is the name of my class. Okay, semicolon. Okay, how many attributes I have here? You can see in the slides. I have units, I have cost, I have description. So I have the units of type integer. How many units on this inventory? So this is integer units. I have the cost, which usually will be defined as a double, plus I have a pointer of type character. So this pointer will be pointed for the description. Maybe we can call it here name for simplicity. I have the name of the item, which is the description, the cost, and how many units in this class. So this is my private section. My public section will be the constructor. Here we are focusing on the constructor. So you can see in the slides, this is constructor 1. Constructor 1, which is the default constructor without any input parameters. So what I have to do, I just copy the name of the class as it is, and that's it. This is my default constructor. How I can implement this default constructor? I just use the name of the class. This is the scope, and this is my constructor. It is the default constructor without any parameters here. So now I need to initialize these attributes. I have the units, so usually we put the units to be 0. This is the initial value, plus the cost. In type double, you can make it 0.00, still okay. So this is my cost. And here I have parameter, I have a pointer, sorry. So in the case of pointer, you give the initial value is the null. So you can see here, the initial value for this pointer, which is the name in my case here, will be the null pointer. So this is the initial value for the name will be the null pointer. So this is the null, sorry. I need to change here. Okay, so this is the null, sorry. All right, so this is the null pointer. This is the null value which indicated there is, this is the end of your array. Okay, all right, right now. Okay, so this is my first constructor. Now the key idea how to overload, how to define multiple constructors. I just want to check here. All right, so in case I have an object now of type inventory item here, so this is my class name here, inventory item, so I will call it item 1. So now I have an object. Once I have created this object, you can see here, see out, the default constructor is called. So this is the default constructor. All right, so this is my end line here. So once I have created this object, this constructor automatically will be called, and these values will be initialized according to these values. So now I will execute here. So the default constructor is called. You can add here is was called, is called, has been called. It's the same. Okay. So any question right now, what do we mean by object here? You have to differentiate between item 1 in case of object plus another representation in case of pointer here. So item 1, item 2, but now item 2 will be pointer. So in case of pointer, there is no object right now. I just have an address on the stack, on the static memory. So you can see here, the constructor only will be called once, because here I have an object, but here I have a pointer. So you can see here, only one time called. So now in case I need to call the default constructor for the dynamic memory, so what I can do here, item 2, which is a pointer, I will try to reserve, allocate a memory. This is dynamic memory. So I will make it new of type inventory without any input. Okay, so I will try to call now. You see, this is dynamic memory. So in case you allocate the memory, the constructor will be called. Any question right now, you can differentiate between static memory when we have an object will be stored in the static memory, which is the stack, as compared with dynamic memory, which used with the keyword new. Can you, this idea is clear for you? Yeah.
So
Which,
item 2 is a pointer, but now we have two objects, the item 1 and item 2, which is a pointer to an inventory item, but it's gonna be like we have now two objects, right?
yeah, right. Yeah, we have two object created.
Okay.
Okay, but this one, the location of item 1, where is the location of item 1? Item 1 will be located in the stack. Item 2 in different place, which is the heap, the dynamic memory. The location of item 2 will be at dynamic memory. So in case I don't want to make this new, I just will stop this one. Item 2, I will make item 2 equal the address. Now I'll use the address of item 1, meaning that how many objects I have now? Is it one
Only,
or two?
only one.
Only one, yeah. You just use the address. So basically, if you look inside the memory, I can see here address, just this address will contains here, it's the address of item 1. So now if I have executed, the constructor will be called only one time. Only one time, one constructor, meaning that I have only one object. Two pointers, you can call item 1 still pointer, because it's the beginning of your data here. Item 1, it's a pointer that will be pointed to these attributes in the static memory. Item 2 now, it's still, where is the location of item 2 as a pointer on the stack? It's not on the heap. But now this will be pointed to the same items here. So in case you want to see if item 2 now can change these values, I have to add the setter here. So I have void set cost, for instance. I need to change the cost, sorry. Okay, Control C, cost. Okay, so this function will take nothing, so it will be inline function. So this inline function, I will change the cost to be 10, whatever. Yeah. Okay. So now I have the set function. I need the getter. So what I need to return here, I need to return the cost, which is type of double. So I need to get cost. No input. Sorry, I need input here. Set cost. So I have to pass a double here. This is C. So cost equals C. Okay, this is inline function here to get the value of the cost. So I need to return the cost. Right? So see what's going on now. The initial value is 0, but I need to change item 1 if I try just to print out the content of item 1. So I'll see here, see out item 1. This is item 1 cost equal. So this is item 1 dot get cost. So this is the new line here. So here should be 0 before you have you change the value here. So this is after item 1 after the change. I need to change here through item 2. So I'll make item 2 set the cost. Now I will make the cost 10, right? So what's expected to be shown in the output screen? I'll see 0, then 10. So let me execute here. Sorry, item 2 set the cost, set cost, set cost here. We have double cost equal.
I think you need to change the item two dot to the pointer or arrow operator.
Sorry, yes, because item 2, it's pointer. The content of, so I need just to check if I can see item 2 as a pointer here. Okay, so this is item 2. Try here, get cost will be 10.
Check the debugger. They have they have in line 9, in line 34. There is an error. The error at the end of that. Maybe you meant to use the arrow operator like minus and
The
you should use it because it's an.
okay. I need to set the cost, not get here. Set the cost to be 10. All right, I'll try here. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, you can see the output here. I changed the value through the pointer, which is item 2. All right, any question? So now I'll continue with my idea, which is overloading here. I have another representation for this inventory item. So I have the second case of overloading constructor 2, but now what I have here, so I have 3 attributes. So let me check my slides here. Constructor 2, this is constructor 2 will take the name, which is character here as a pointer, because I'm identified here as a pointer, so it should be here as a pointer. So this is my pointer, which is name. Okay, as a prototype, no need to mention this, just a pointer. So in the implementation here, I just copy, paste here. So I have another one with the input character here. So this is character will be the name. So now in the case of the name equal n. All right, so how I can call the second constructor. So this is second constructor. The second constructor has been called. So I have an object here, item 3. So this is item 3, but now I will pass some values. So maybe what's the name of this item? We have cars, whatever the item you have in your inventory. All right, so this is double quotation here. Okay, so now item 3, I will have item 1, item 3 will be called second. So execution here. Now we have warning here. So the default constructor first, then the second constructor has been called. Maybe single quotation here. Must be double quotation.
No, you define the pointer as a char, so you can't really use string. Only one character.
Not array. Yeah. You mean I need to change to be array. Okay, it's char. I'm not allocating memory for this. Here, I have only one character. If it's array, I need to change to be array. So I'm expecting only one character. So this is one character here, which is say. Okay, but here in my example here also the same. Let me check the slides. Where's the constructor? Infantry. This is not the infantry. Okay. One item only character. It's not array. It's a pointer. So we need new to reserve an array. Okay. I'll try now. So in the second constructor, I need just to check here. Constructor 2. We need new, yeah, of course. We need inside the constructor to reserve a memory. So what's wrong here? I have to return back to cars, but here I need to reserve a memory inside this. So this is before I say like this, I need to reserve a memory for this pointer. So the name now, which is a pointer, will be pointed to new memory allocation. So I have an array of type. How many characters I need to reserve here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So in order to know how many characters you are receiving from this pointer, so I have to need the string length function that will tell you how many characters you are receiving from this function in n plus 1, which is the null pointer. Okay, so now I'm reserving the memory. Okay, so this is new character. After that, I need to copy the values. So I need to make string copy for the input, which is coming from here, n to the name. So n to name. All right, so any question? I just reserve memory because I'm allocating memory, is dynamic memory pointer. Once I receive 4 characters, meaning that I need to reserve here dynamic memory of 4 characters. Then I need to use the string copy. All right, so let me execute now. Okay, it's string length. We need the function of in the case of string, what C string we have to include. We need to, sorry, this hash is not visible in my keyboard. So I need to include a C string. See, it is C string in order to make copy and string length. Okay, so I'll execute now. What's still warning here? From string constant to character, right settings, decrease conversion from. Okay, by the way, you can check later this code. This is the key idea. Now I have a different implementation for this constructor now with one parameter. So this is the key idea of overloading. You have different representation. In the case of no parameters passed here, so we set all to the default values. So this will be null with one character, and this is the zeros for the integer and double. Clear this point? We are overloading here the constructor. All right, so I have to return back to my slide. So you can see this is the first representation for overloading without any parameters. So what I have to do, I have to initialize zeros, and this is my pointer. Sorry, we have a default case in case you reserve some memory, but in that case you have to decide how much the normal length of this character. Maybe you need to reserve 5 characters, 10 characters, it's up to the programmer. Okay, so you have to define the default size. So we have the second representation here with one input here. So I have to reserve a memory according to the size, then I need to copy the string, but this is still initialized with 0. In the third one, we have 3 input. So I have to allocate a memory, copy the input, and initialize the values. Clear? This the idea of overloading here. All right, no question before I move on.
No.
Okay, so regarding the default constructor usually comes without any input. But also this one is another representation for the default constructor. So in case you assign values in the prototype of your function, so this is still another representation for the default constructor. So now we have 2 default constructor. So this will be compile error. Okay, since a destructor takes no argument, there can only be one destructor for a class. Again, for the destructor, we must have only one because there is no input parameters for the destructor. Clear this point?
Doctor?
Yeah.
In the first part, why it's not gonna compile? Like we have different. The first one doesn't have a parameters, and the second one have a parameter.
Okay, let me try in the coding. Okay. Discard here. I have another inventory item, but now I will take the cost for simplicity. I will make it the cost here. Okay, this is my cost table. This is the cost equals 0 here. Cost equals 0. So let me check here. Integer equals 0 without. Okay, I will compile here. Okay. Okay, what's wrong here? Decrease is overloaded here is ambiguous. To make it clear for you, forget about this one. No need for this one, no need for this one, no need for this one also. Okay, so I have only one item here, no need for all these items. To make it clear for you, just now I have this class, no need also for this pointer. I have 2 items here, so no need for the third one. All right, so I will deactivate this one just a minute to make sure that it's working correctly. So no compile error. Right now, I have a default constructor because I have one object here. All right, clear now? Right now is okay? No errors. So
Yes.
now I have another one, which is default constructor because I'm initializing here. So this is different representation. You see now we have two default constructors. You see, fall of overload. So this is the error here. Ambiguous. It's not clear which one you are looking for. This is double because you see I'm initializing inside. But if you don't have this one, this is different. I'll compile here. It's fine. It's different. So this is the key idea. You are initializing inside. I'm using equal. So that's why it's different from this. It's just prototype. All right. So this will not compile error because you are initializing. So one that takes no argument and one that has default argument. Okay. Clear at this point?
Yes.
Okay. So next, what we have here, in case of member functions, also the same idea could be applied for functions. So you can see I'm overloading set cost, but now this will take pointer and this will take double. So non-constructor, yeah, the same idea could be applied in the case of overloading of member functions. So this is example of overloading. Must have unique, as I have mentioned, unique parameters list, meaning that you have to change here. Maybe the number you can overload with more parameters, or you have to change the type. So you have two choices to make overloading. All right, clear? The overloading is a generic, could be applied for constructor and non-constructor functions.
So we can make two constructor that can receive one parameter if the data type is different.
We can make two constructors, yeah, like this. Okay. You can make like this. It's different. This is without any parameters, with one parameter, with two. This is overloading.
But the one before is receive one parameter each. So
This one?
in front, more.
More?
The character and the double one.
Double one, okay.
No, the character and the double one.
Character and double. This one double, and we have character here.
No. Can you have like two constructor with like a character, one with a character and one with a double? Just one parameter.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, of course. Sure.
Thank you.
I'll come just to show you this idea. Yeah, you can change here. This is double with double, and the second one with character. So no compile error, of course. This is with character here. So I'll compile here. It's fine. Yeah, this is overloading. Once you change the type, it's overloading. Okay, so I need to switch to another topic here. So let me check. Overloading in the case of functions also possible here. So you can see here, I'm overloading get area. This is will take one, but this one will take two. Okay, so in the implementation, you can see here, this is get area here. I'm calling this function and I'm giving two values, the width and the length. But in the first case, I'm giving only one parameters. I'm reading this parameter from the function get side. Get side will be first, this one. Okay. All right. So we have constructor overloading plus functions overloading here. So now we come here to another idea, which is about the private member function. So usually we use public functions. We never used private function before that. So why we are using private functions? I think I have asked you previously why we are using private functions. So private member function can only be called another member function. Why we don't make it public, just make it public and call it? Any idea? It's used, you can see here, it's used for internal processing by the class, not for use by outside. So this is the answer here. So we have example here for private function in this class, the description version 3. So let me show you here. Okay, this is not the class. I'm looking for the class infantry here. In the private section, okay, this is version 1. In version 3, I have a function. So I see here. This one version 3. I have in the private section here, I have description, cost, units, plus this is my private function. It's inline function. I have the implementation here. So why it's used here? To make initialization for these attributes. So for internal processing. So this is internal processing by the class. The class needed, not from outside. Outside, you just create object and pass the characters. But inside, you need to reserve memory using the new. So you are allocating memory. So this is internal process. So how to call it? To call it from where we need to call this private function. So you can call it from the setter, or you have another option. You can call it from the constructor. Clear this point? I have private function here. This private function will be used for internal processing, meaning that to allocate a memory. Because at runtime, I don't know how much memory I need based on the input. Okay, so in that case, you need a private function that will do this process to create a description or to reserve a memory for this pointer. Clear? How to call it? You must call it from public function. You cannot call it from the main. If you need it to be automatic, you can call it from the constructor, meaning that inside the constructor, where is the constructor? Yeah, I can call it. This one, I can move this one to a private function, allocate memory and copy. So I can call it from here. Create description. I will call it create description. So automatically the constructor will call it. Otherwise, you can call it from the setter, like in that case, set function or set description. In case you change the description, the constructor only will be called at the beginning. But if you need to change at runtime, so you have to call the setter. You cannot recall again the constructor. Clear this point? Why you are using private functions?
Yes.
Okay, but you have to be aware about that, how to call it. You can call it from only, so this is the main idea here, can be called only by another public. This should be public member function. All right, so this is the key idea of private functions. We have the last idea here, which is the copy constructors. So what do we mean by copy constructors? We have right now, we have the default constructor without any parameter. We have overloaded constructors that will comes with different prototype. And now the third one, or the third type, which is the copy constructor. So you have to be aware about these terms. You have to differentiate between the default one, the overloaded one, and the copy one. Okay, so what do we mean by copy constructor, and why we need copy constructor? So this is the problem. We need copy constructor to solve. What's the problem? What if an object contains a pointer? So if your class, like in this example here, you have a pointer in the private section, you have one pointer only. So this is a public section here. This is the constructor. This is the default constructor. So I'm initializing this value with 0. I have two functions here. Okay. So inside the default constructor, I'm allocating a memory value equal new for this pointer. I'm reserving one integer, only one value. Then I need to set the location of this pointer. You have to copy the input to this value. If you receive input, so you can see this this representation for the constructor here, meaning that if you have a value comes from the main, you will set here. Otherwise, you'll set 0. So this is two representation. This is default constructor, at the same time constructor with one parameter. Clear this point? So now what's the problem to the copy constructor? The copy constructor used in the case of pointers. If you have in your private section pointers, so you will face this problem. What if object contain a pointer? So what's the problem exactly? You can see here. The problem now, this is my class. Now I will try to create object 1, object 2 in the main. Now I'm in the main here. So this is object 1. I'm passing a value of 5. So this is object 1 here in the memory. Object 1 contains one value, which is a pointer. This pointer will be pointed to, because I have a new here. This is my heap here. This is the heap memory, or dynamic memory, you can call it. And here, this is the stack. So the stack will be pointed to the heap. So this is object 1. Object 1, because I have pointer here, so I have to reserve memory, then I need to copy. So initially, this should be 5. So once this line executed, object 1 will get a 5. Clear this point, this line in the main? Okay, so now I have another object here, which is object 2. Object 2 now will be pointed to object 1. Sorry. So what's going on? This is object 2. Object 2, I make a copy because object 1 has a pointer, so I has a pointer address here. I'm copying. So this address will be identical to this one. So this one will be pointed to the same memory location. Okay, so this is line 2. Line 3, because now I'm pointing to the same location. So what's going on? I will change the value to be 13. So this is the new value here, will be 13 after executing this line. I need to print out so I see this. So meaning that what I need to do, in fact, when I make this, so what's the problem now? I need the constructor to copy the value. I mean that what I'm looking for, I'm not looking for this case. Don't copy only the address. Also, you have to make a new location, meaning that I need another location in the heap. So this is my initial value, which is 5. I need this one to be here. I need to change this pointer to be here. Clear? Once I have executed this line, I'm expecting to have a new location in the dynamic memory. So I need this plus the address for this. Once I copy here, it should be at the beginning, it should be 5 here, but I need different place. Later, when I execute this one, I need to change this one. Clear this point? I'm expecting this, but what happening is this. This is the problem. This is what exactly happening. But what I'm looking for new memory location, which will store 13 here, and 5 should be here, no change. How I can do this? Okay, so this is the problem. Clear the problem now. Because of pointer, I'm copying the address. I just update the same location.
Doctor, can you go back the previous slide?
Mhm.
Okay, we are using the pointer value before defining it in the private section. Is that gonna be a problem or not?
This one you mean should be here. We have
Is that
value here
or
and
is
this line. So let me try in the editor. This card here. Just copy this class here. Okay, so this is my class here. So I'm defining the private later. So okay, no need for this one. No need for this one. I'll make a copy from this class. So I call it some class. So this is C1. All right. So I don't have, this is my constructor will be called automatically once I have created an object. So I will execute here. I have semicolon here. Okay, what else? I'll execute. Yeah, it's not a problem. It's okay. It's fine. You can make print out here to make sure that you are calling the constructor. So see out here, see out constructor called. So this is constructor, sorry, constructor call. Okay, so this is end line. All right, I'll execute here. So constructor called. Okay, so it's not a problem because the private section comes after. Yeah, you are using the value, but it's not a problem in the case of class. All right, so okay, so now let me try to execute the second part once we are here to illustrate this problem. So I will copy this to the editor. Okay, in the main. So what's going on here? I have object 1 with a value 5. So I have object 2 will be equal object 1. And here I have to print out the values. You can check before to make sure these values. So get value, I need to implement this function, return. Okay, so I'm return, return what? Return the value of the pointer, right? So I need to return the value. All right, so this is get value here before. Also, this one should be 5 here. I'm expecting here, this should be 5. So before modification, before update. So the second one here, after updating here, before updating here. All right. So object one, it's object one, but now I am updating through object two. Okay, I'll execute here. We need a set function here. We need to implement the set. So the set function here, I need to implement here, which is online function. So I have to set the value of this pointer. So I need to reserve memory first. It should be like this. No need. I already created a memory. I just to update the value. I will update the value like this. So I'm receiving value. So I set the value of the pointer to be with the new value. Right? So I'll execute here. Okay, I need new line to be clear. I need new line here. So I need new line here too. Okay, I will execute here. So before updating, it's 5. After updating, it's 13. This is the problem because the pointer, internal pointer, will be pointed for this value. Okay, so what I have to do? You have to differentiate between another representation in case you have some class, object 3, object 3 is a pointer. So now, yeah, I'm pointing to object 1. When I say object 3 equal the address of object 1, so object 3 equal the address of object 1. This is different. In that case, I need to point to the same location. So I'll update. I know I need to update in this case. But in this case, I need to copy, not pointing to the same location. I need copy. So you have copy here in the slides. You have copy. Object 2 is different copy. But inside object 2, I have a pointer. So this is the main problem. Contains a pointer. Clear this point. You have to differentiate between creating a pointer from the beginning. So I need this pointer to point to object 1. So in that case, you will not see this. You will see just there is no value inside object 2. Object 3 here. This is object 3. Object 3 is just a pointer. Just a pointer here will be pointed to object 1. There is no heap. Are pointing to object 1, meaning that object 3 will be somewhere here. This is object 3. Okay, so this is object 3. So object 3, this is the address. The address will be pointed to object 1, not here, because inside this I have this address. In the second scenario, I have an object in the stack. But now what's the problem? I need to get new location in the heap because I'm copying, not pointing here. Okay, clear this point. When you mention from the beginning is pointer is different case. When you mention from the beginning, yeah, I know you take the address, so you'll update here. It's expected. But in the second case, I'm not expecting that you'll update my value because I need copy. So this is the problem. Okay, so now clear for you the problem of object contain pointer. So how to solve it? We come to the solution. But before I move to the solution, I have to make sure that you understand this problem. Clear this problem? Okay. So how I can solve it? What's the solution? So copy constructor, take a reference parameter to an object that, so this is the solution here. Allow us to solve this problem with object containing a pointer. So I have to use the keyword constant. So I have to mention in the constructor, this is constant, meaning that this object constant, and at the same time, I need to receive a reference for the object. Inside, I have to update the values. So the value will be, so I'm reserving a new location in the heap and I'm copying the value. So copy constructor, take a reference parameter to an object. This is the key idea comes from here. You have to give me the reference for this object, object 2. So I need to copy in different location. So expecting I will have this. Okay, what we have did here, this is the copy constructor. I have to use the copy constructor. So this is the representation. You have to use the keyword constant plus an object from the class. You see, this is the copy constructor. This is the prototype of copy constructor. This is the class name and the reference. So you have to stick to this format. Let me show you in the coding what's going on. Now I'll copy this copy constructor. So I have another constructor here in the class, in the public section here. So this is the copy constructor. You see the representation here is different. So I will make cout to make sure that I'm calling this constructor. So cout copy constructor called. So I call it copy constructor, and this one is the default constructor. Default constructor called. Okay, this is different, copy constructor. So now, no change, object 3, no need for object 3, is different ID object 3. Now what's going on here? I have object 1. Object 1 before updating should be 5. I'm copying here, but now I will call this one, not this one. So copy constructor will be called. After updating, you'll see the same value. So now I should get 5. Okay. If I print out here also object 2, so after updating object, this is the value of object 1, and after updating, this is the value of object 2. So this is my object 2, and here before updating here, so this is my object. Okay, this is object 1, should be 5, and this is object 2. Object 2, I need to move this one before. Okay, so now, sorry. Okay, so I have object 2. So this is object 2. I have to update here. This is object 2. This is object 2. All right, clear? Now, what I'm expecting now, at the beginning should be 5. I'm copying. At the end here, this should be 13. This is what I'm expecting after execution. So I have to execute now. What's the error here? We have this is the definition. No on member some class is the same name. Sorry, this is the implementation. Yeah, this is the implementation. So first I need to define this. This is my copy constructor will be here without object. So this is the prototype. Then I need to move this implementation outside the class. Okay, so this is my implementation of Kobe constructor. Kobe constructor now outside. Try to execute now. Okay, you see what's expecting, as I mentioned to you in the main, 5, 5, 5, 13. So it's 5, 5, 5, 13. Constructor 1. You see Kobe constructor is called. Default constructor is called. Now I can update object 2 without affecting the value of object 1. Get this idea? So that's why you have another type of constructor, which is the Kobe constructor. You have to stick to this definition. You have to use word constant plus a reference of this object. So automatically, once this assignment, the constructor will know this is the Kobe constructor, not the default constructor. Because previously, without this one, I'll comment here. Without Kobe constructor, what you see the default constructor is called. So now I see default constructor called 5, 5, 13, 13. So you see here without Kobe constructor, so you can see the problem now. So default constructor only called one time because here I'm pointing to this object. So I have these values will be updated, meaning that the Kobe constructor will allocate a new memory allocation like this. I'm looking for this location. Clear this point? So with Kobe constructor, using Kobe constructor, so you have to stick to the definition of Kobe constructor. This is the Kobe constructor. Kobe constructor, we have to use constant plus the address of the class. So this is some class is the same name of the class. Inside, you have to allocate a memory for this pointer. So I'm allocating memory. So it's new integer. I'm allocating memory. Then I'm copying. This is copy from the address comes here. So this value I need to copy to this location, meaning that I need to copy 5 to 13 after allocating dynamic memory. Otherwise, you are pointing to the same location. Clear? Okay, so if no question, I think this is the end for today class. I'll share with you the attendance. If no question, any question before I close? This is the end of constructors. Yeah, no question. Okay, clear. So we have three types. We have the default constructor. We have the overloaded constructor. And we have another one, which is the Kobe constructors. Kobe constructors comes to solve this problem. What's the problem in case you have pointers inside your class? Okay. Okay, guys, thank you very much. This is the end for me. I need to stop my sharing. I'll share with you the attendance here.
Thank you, Doctor.
Welcome.